Welcome back to another episode of Conscious Caregiving with L&L. I'm your co-host, Lance A. Slatton, and as always, joined by my esteemed colleague and friend, Lori La Bey, the founder of Alzheimer Speaks and co-founder of Dementia Map. Welcome, Lori.
Well, it's always fun to talk with you, Lance, and this time we're going to talk about the town halls that you had for AlzAuthors that you are now the president of and have taken over and are adding to the vision and the mission that the gals who started it, to elevate it a little bit more. So I can't wait to kind of dive into this all, because AlzAuthors is just such a precious resource to so many people, and yet there are so many people, like with many resources out there, they don't know about them. And so why don't you share first, because we might have some first-time listeners here, on what is AlzAuthors, and then we'll get into the town hall meetings and what you're looking, to do, and some of the changes that you've made.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I want to also mention, aside from being the founder of Alzheimer Speaks and co-founder of Dementia Map, you're also a board member now of AlzAuthors. When we're just really grateful to have your wisdom and experience, join this cause. So AlzAuthors is the largest online library and resource for people and loved ones with dementia. We took over in January of this year and really started the real rollout in April. They were taking care of some loose ends that they had to resolve. And we had a town hall on Friday, April 10th, which, that video is available online for viewers and listeners to really get a full descriptive, informative look at AlzAuthors and what we're planning to do there. And then we had the second one on Monday, April 20th with, just another great turnout. AlzAuthors has a tremendous, trove of resources for family caregivers and loved ones, living with dementia, or people wanting to just learn more. We have over 400 books in our library. One of the exciting things that we did announce at the town hall was the implementation of the first ever digital library of AlzAuthors. So you and I are both AlzAuthors before, this new acquisition. And now you can go in and type in my name or your name, and our book will come up with a full book summary page with a photo of the cover, the summary, and also a direct link to anyone interested in, purchasing that book. But it's not just you and I, it's everyone that's ever earned the distinction of being called an AlzAuthor. Their books are now cataloged in that library, which is something I felt was extremely important, because AlzAuthors, though it does have a podcast and a blog and, a lot of other resources, its main foundation was built on books about dementia and Alzheimer's. And I know we've probably shared on this show before, and I've said so many times, it's not just books though. There's categories, mother with dementia, spouse with dementia, grandchildren with a grandparent with dementia, children's books like, Betty the Bald Chicken. There's caregiver guides like, my book. And there's so many books all converging on this single point of helping people, navigate this journey, become more informed. And then people that might want more casual, less serious, if that's the right way of saying it, books. There's a wonderful fiction category as well, with books that are just, casual reads. They're not specific about a real life event or a memoir or a support guide. And they're just books that are telling a story that happened to involve people with dementia. So we're really, really happy with that. And, we also have other services now that we're offering people. We had a lady just recently from Italy actually reached out and wanted to inquire if we could just read her book and give feedback. So we did a book review for her, and, gave her a report and a summary of the feedback we had. And again, this is just all a matter of opinion. We may give feedback that is really helpful or feedback that people may not necessarily agree with, and that's okay. But we're just trying to help these authors get these books to where they want them to be at if they're not published yet. And then for the books that are published, we just, at the last town hall on the 20th, we announced the rollout that the book portal is now reopened because that had been shut down for quite some time during this whole acquisition phase. And so we've already gotten numerous amounts of submissions. So we're busy reading and going over these new books to see if they are worthy of that designation of being an Alz author. And just the last thing I want to say about that, I tell people it's just like college. You can apply to 5 universities, pay the application fee, send in all of your transcripts, but it doesn't mean you're going to get accepted to all of them. You have to apply, and it's not a guarantee because it is a rigorous process that's fully vetted, because the last thing we want to do is get books and resources a part of the AlzAuthors library and brand, and then they're not helpful or they're misleading or they give false hope. And that's the thing we're going to make sure to avoid. We want to make sure people that come to AlzAuthors and they want a book or they want a resource, they can get that resource or book fully confident in knowing that this is good information. It's not going to, take advantage of their emotional situation they're in, give them false hope, false promises, and so that's something we're very protective of as well.
Which is really important, because there's so many people writing things out there, and we have to be careful of scams and things like that too, where people are just trying to make money through association, and the more pronounced dementia has gotten, the more we're seeing that happen out there. So, it's always had, AlzAuthors has always had integrity and has been well respected in the industry, and so that's nice and not surprising that you're keeping that role alive, and that's really important to the mission there. Now, as far as the town hall meetings, what was the reception from people and questions that they were asking?
Yeah, so number one question was, how is this going to benefit us, in the sense that, one of the things we are really focusing on, and we did send out a survey at both town halls, and the number one response from both town halls was, the question was, what are you hoping to get out of this, new management and acquisition of myself and All Home Care Matters, and how can we help you in the most meaningful way? And the number one answer by far was, get more exposure for my book. And I feel like that's something that, we really bring to the table, where we're now able to, implement the platform of All Home Care Matters and the platforms of AlzAuthors and combine them, in the sense, like, if we have a new author or just a book in general, when it gets posted through AlzAuthors, now it can piggyback with All Home Care Matters sharing it and promoting it across our socials. So it's not much different than what you and I do with Conscious Caregiving. We have the Conscious Caregiving social media platforms, but then when we put out a new episode, Alzheimer Speaks, Dementia Map is sharing it, your platforms, and then our platforms under All Home Care Matters are sharing it. So we're combining these two, wonderful platforms to really promote the messaging in these books for these authors. And that's their number one thing, and we're offering new services where, we'll do a full book review, not like we did for the lady from Italy. That was more just, here's my book, give me feedback. But let's say, Betty the Bald Chicken, and you say, I really would love to have a book review done on it, but a book review of, like, us doing a video talking about the book, putting the links in there, going through some of the pages, putting them up on the screen. So we're doing that. We're doing exclusive author sit-downs, one-on-ones with the authors, so that they have a platform to really, tell their story in a different format, because they will get the blog article that they get to write, and then it gets published on AlzAuthors, and then of course shared across social media. But now with our media side, we're offering these one-on-one interviews with the authors as well, to help share their stories and, get it in front of more people in a different format.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful, and I love the categories that you have and the different ways people can search as well, from the author. And can they search by title too?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
It can be done through category, keywords, author's name, and book title. So like if we went on there right now, we went to, the search function, we type in Betty and just left Betty, then Betty the Bald Chicken or any other book with the word Betty would come up because they may not know the whole title, but they would know it if they saw it on the screen. Or you can go to the category, go to children's books. You can find Betty the Bald Chicken, or you can type in, Lori La Bey, and your name would then bring back any books that you have on AlzAuthors. And then one of the things we also did was we added each author's name under the author's category. So you can go down, click on your name, Lori, and any book that you have on AlzAuthors will bring back all of your books. So some people might like the writing style or format of a single author, and then they can just, instead of having to know each book's name or what have you, or maybe they only know the author's first name or just their last name, so we wanted to make them as accessible and discoverable as possible. And I think the team did a really nice job on that. We're still kind of fine tuning and tweaking the categories. Again, we were putting it together based on the resources we were given to put it together with. But since then, I think we fine tuned it quite a bit, and I'm sure there will be tweaks here and there, to come yet. But it's a great additional resource for people.
So Lance, let's talk a little bit about the authors. I know there was a lot of excitement because I was in on both of the town hall meetings, but it sounded like there's a lot of energy there to capture, and that can really maybe help AlzAuthors grow even more. What are your thoughts around that? Did you feel that too? I mean, I definitely felt it.
Yeah, I knew AlzAuthors for many, many years. Before there was ever an All Home Care Matters or anything, we were supporters of theirs. And you could just see, a great community. They're doing tremendous work. They're helping with awareness and getting resources out there and sharing these stories. So I didn't really know what to expect, with the town halls, because I was hoping to have them, hosted and done earlier. But like I said, we just had to wait a little bit while they took care of some loose ends. And so I didn't know really how many would attend or what to expect. And we had over 25 at each of the town halls and countless emails of people saying they wish they could have been there. Can we watch it somewhere? That's why, the first one we did record and turn it into an episode that people can go and watch and listen to. But what we're really trying to do is engage these authors and aspiring authors as well, because we get emails from both, and we're trying to put together, opportunities for them to, have panel discussions, but also working on, kind of like a library network where people in their communities, if they wish and they desire to, and the opportunities available where they can go in, talk about their book, and almost have like a Q&A about not only their book, but just to share more, kind of like a caregiver support hybrid, where the book is coming alive, where they're telling their story and something in that story may resonate with you, but then not everything, like you've written a book, I've written a book, not everything goes into the book, right? At some point you have to, trim it down a little bit, and you can gain some more information and helpful, support through these, library talks. And that's something we're working on. Again, I emphasize to people, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that does take time, coordination, and scheduling. But I think it's going to be just another great opportunity and outlet for these authors to not only get their book in front of people, but to really see the people face to face who are reading the books and, benefiting from it.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about re-engaging, I think getting authors re-engaged with libraries and memory cafes, and to be able to connect with people in their own communities and stuff too, which is kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, well, and I just want to add briefly to this, Lori. And you were at both of the town halls, and I shared the caregivercompanion.ai, Mike and Denise. They have this just tremendous tool for caregivers. It's called Kara. And, I actually did a little mini interview with Kara, and it's pretty neat and a little scary at the same time, because it's just like you and I talking. I was talking with her, and, she is an AI assistant, and she is taking, Mike and Denise are taking any author's books There's no cost. The resource, the app, the platform is also free for caregivers, where like I donated my book and they took the digital book, they embedded it into Kara's memory. And so mine's a caregiver, guide for family caregivers. And if a family caregiver has a question and that answer is in my book, Kara will talk to them just like you and I are talking, and she will provide that answer for them. We're not providing, medical information. We're not providing a diagnosis or medications or anything like that. This is just a social support tool rather than a medical tool. But, sometimes family caregivers, that's the exact thing they need. They don't need the medical jargon and all of that. They need somebody that can just listen, help, and respond. And that's what Kara was designed and built to do. And the information, this was something I was very particular on with them before agreeing to offer this resource to AlzAuthors was, is this information going to be protected? So if I go on there and I say, Kara, what is going on with my dad? But, whatever it is, Kara is a closed environment. So she's only pulling information from the information that she is given through these books and other, legitimate resources that they decide to embed into her memory. Unlike ChatGPT and all these other AI platforms, where if you go on there, you could ask it a question right now, and it's pulling from everything and anything off the internet because that's the environment. It's an open environment. Kara is a closed environment, so she can only pull information from authentic, legitimate, vetted resources that they choose to put into her memory bank. And that's why I think that makes it really unique and special. So all of her memories and information is going to be from actual professionals and caregivers and these books. And if you do decide to put your book as part of Kara's memory, you're getting fully attributed to the book. So if somebody gets information and it comes back out of my book, they will say, this book was written by Lance A. Slatton. The name of the book is the All Home Care Matters Official Family Caregivers Guide. If you wish to read the book or purchase it, here's where you can go to get it. So they're not selling the books. They're not making money on this. It's completely free because they had went through a personal caregiving journey. Mike wrote the book. My wife has Alzheimer's, now what? And it was from that experience that, and the lack of resources and support he received, and just felt kind of like the healthcare community, if you will, failed him. And that's my words, not his. He went on this mission to support family caregivers so that they didn't have to experience what he did. And I give them a lot of credit, and I just think it's a remarkable resource for caregivers that doesn't cost them anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very nice. It's because it's hard, and you don't know, when you Google something, where it's coming from, and how it's sourced. I mean, and it can also get really overwhelming too. You get too much information. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. Now, as far as I know, the site has some other resources on it too. Do you want to talk about those and let people know what they can find there?
We have blog articles, we have caregiver resources and like fact sheets, like little guides, if you will. Those are free. There's no cost. Everything on the site is free. There's no paywalls or anything. And, as I mentioned, Lori, you and I are both AlzAuthors. Patty Davis, President Reagan's daughter, is an AlzAuthor. Maria Shriver is an AlzAuthor. These are reputable, well-known people. But then there's also people like me, nothing special. We just wrote a book. They reviewed it. They approved it. And so, there's really something for everybody. There's, the blog articles have good information in them as well. And there is a resource, though it's not active any longer, the AlzAuthors podcast, where you can listen to some of the previous panels and stuff that we had hosted. And we're hoping to relaunch that again in the future. But other than that, it's a great website with so much wonderful, helpful, useful information. And, we're trying to get it out there because, as you and I both know, it's tough when you're caring for a loved one and you feel alone and you don't know where to get trusted, good, reliable information from.
Exactly. So yeah, and with the podcast, I mean, you've got several other podcasts that you can, highlight these authors on too. That's which is really nice to be able to do as well. So, and a larger presence. So that alone is gonna elevate things. So, yeah, I think everyone is really excited to see things push forward and where it goes. And what I love too about your town halls is you're so open to people's ideas, and some of them just go like boom, 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 and you can't take them all in, and they're all good ideas. But I think sometimes people have to understand you got to prioritize your growth. Otherwise, you could just explode and die, if you try doing too many things all at one time.
And I love the ideas, and that's why we wanted to do the town halls from the get-go. And one of the other comments that we did get from all the surveys or email messages and stuff from people that attended was they just loved that we did that because, again, they want to have a voice. And we, like I shared there, Lori, we want to give them a voice, but we want to hear what that looks like and, how we can help make that possible. And, one of the things I want to emphasize is we want to have volunteers and we want to have people be a part of the community because, again, I feel like in the past, often people became an Alz author and it's kind of like you get that new toy you just have to have. And then after a week or two or a month or two, it kind of wears off and then you're on to your next new shiny toy. And we want people to know that there's always a home for them here and that they can be a part of it as much or as little as they would like to, and they just loved the town hall. They just thought it was a great idea. And we've had a lot of people request that we do them more regularly. And we definitely have no problem doing that. And we want to do that, but we want to do the next one once we have a little more, information and opportunities to really share with people that we're working on right now. Hopefully in the next few weeks, those will be rolled out. But I think it's just important for them to know that, they are valued and it's not just become an Alz author and then it's over with. Once an Alz author, always an Alz author, but we want people to be a part of it also. And we've got to give them a reason to be a part of it.
Exactly. I think people are looking for that sense of community, and sometimes people will have a project, if it's a book or something else, and they'll be in it for a period of time, and they kind of, and that's okay. Life moves on and people go through different stages. But I think what people really always have to remember is there's always another set of families walking in the door. And so what's nice with the books is they're all different approaches, all different ages, all different situations, all different kind of styles, and different voices of how do you do this. And to me, that's a beautiful kind of toolkit, because I don't believe my voice, your voice, or anyone else's voice has all the answers, because everyone's journey is different and every moment's a little different. What works right now might not work later. But it shows you in a real life presence with the majority of these books what they tried and had the courage to try and do different because they weren't told and they stepped into it. And it's not always going to work, and that's okay. But we can't give up and let the disease win. There's many ways to still be able to communicate and connect. I just was doing an interview on my show earlier today about a family member, and we were just talking about, even as the disease progresses, the touch of a hand, the kiss, the glint in an eye, how those small little details are probably the most important ones through the journey. It's not the big flashy things that, we all went out to dinner and we did this and we did that like we used to talk about. It's the smaller, more intimate moments, and I think those are expressed in the books, along with the really frustrating and sad and grieving, and it covers all of the emotions, and some are very raw, some are very, very practical, some are humorous. Everyone deals with things differently, and so you have an opportunity to really explore a variety that's going to meet your personality, style, and needs.
Yes, absolutely. And, and I think that is one of the beautiful things about Alz authors is everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is unique. not everybody's story will speak directly to you, but a lot of them will. And it's just, finding, the one that really speaks directly to you. It's one thing to have a category about, a daughter taking care of a mother with dementia or any other form of dementia, but it's another to find the story that really resonates about how you did care for that mother with, her dementia, because there's a lot of books, but not all of them are going to, fit best with your scenario. The category might fit, but it's the story that really needs to fit.
Yeah, well, and I think it's the story, not the statistics, that gives us that comfort and strength and hope and ability to be vulnerable and kind of move through, those moments that you think you're not going to recover from, that you can't deal with, and you come out the other side stronger because you have survived it, and then it's something that can be shared with the next guy to make it maybe a little bit easier on them. And I think that's a powerful piece too of AlzAuthors, is people have put their lives out there to try to make someone else's better. I'm sure there might be an author or two that, really wanted to make a lot of money off books, but bottom line, guys, most books, you're not even going to make your money back, with your sales. So, and I think with this set of people, that's not their main priority. It's really about helping and giving comfort. And that's a very different approach, but it's so soothing to the soul. And you can read that through the stories, and you can laugh and you can cry and you can get angry and you can take notes and start writing your own stories, and maybe it'll make you brave enough to want to share your story and realize that you've learned a lot more than you thought, and maybe you want to become an author down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. Very well said, Lori.
And there's no, when you're writing a book, I mean, we both know you put yourself on a time frame. It took me 10 years to write a 30-page kids book, and go through the process and stuff. But in that 10 years, I changed what I thought the book was for and how it could be used. So, you hear authors take all different periods of time, and there's help and resources. And now AlzAuthors is going to be able to support in terms of reviewing and tweaking someone's manuscript before they publish as well. That's the service you're looking at as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We can do all of that now. The only thing we are working on is a partnership with a publisher to make it more affordable, because as you and I both know, publishing your book, it's one thing to have it written and ready and edited. That's great. But then it's another to then have it published, and that can be a tremendous expense for people. They can go the independent author route, independent publishing, which is great also, but again, I feel like if you're able, go through a publisher, because there's a good possibility you're going to get it on a lot more, websites and platforms for people to see it than if you just went the independent publisher route.
Yep, I agree. Well, anything else that you want to talk about with the town hall meetings, or?
I just, I would just encourage people, go watch, the town hall. We did record and produce the first one, and, check things out. But if they have questions, they're welcome to reach out to us at alzauthors@gmail.com. There's a contact form on alzauthors.com, or they can, reach out to us through allhomecarematters.com. But, we would love to have people that want to be a part of this community, help support the work of, these authors and helping to raise awareness to dementia. And, as I said, you're one of the board members too. They can reach out to you too, Lori. So, however we can, help, and anybody that wants to be involved, we would love to, meet with them and, see how they can be involved.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for giving us the update on that. I'm just really excited to watch where everything goes, because I've been a big believer in the AlzAuthor, and I admire you as a colleague and business owner, and all of the layers that you participate in terms of trying to give comfort and educate people. And so
I gotta say though, I tell you this all the time, you're on my Mount Rushmore of dementia. So, The pleasure is always mine, and just, the respect is very mutual. So thank you for all that you do as well.
Well, great. Well, I guess then that's a wrap with this one.
All right. See you guys next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us again here at Conscious Caregiving with L&L, where we're tackling the tough conversations. We look forward to seeing you again here next month.